Just checking to see that I'm actually live here. And it looks like we are, so I'm going to get started. Uh, Real quickly here, not a lot to go over on the historic time frame. We have the 1, 2, 3 here, here, and here, and the market is currently breaking up, putting in a series of higher highs and higher lows. All points lead north, and there's not much to talk about there. We've broken out of this historic time frame upper edge, and until we get below here, the market is continues its historic time frame uh, bias to the upside. So pretty simple. We'll just shift gears. Those edges are transposed onto this chart with the historic time frame upper edge here. And I'm going to turn on a chart marker here so you can see the cursor. So you can see this edge here and this edge here are the same, and this edge here and this edge here are the same. So as long as we're above the upper edge, we are in breakout mode. All right. The generic intraday intermediate sandbox is here. This is going to become 1 day back, and we need to be cognizant of the 1 day back check here and the new buyers that took it higher and put in a new all-time high. This is a higher time frame price check, very bullish for a continuation higher on Friday. The potential is to return back to that level and then decide, are we going to go back up and push the highs, or are we going to fall out and come back and check the 2 day back. Now tomorrow this is going to be red and this is going to be blue here. Those will change with the rolling over of the day. Right now it's enough to know that the 1 day back is the downside check and the trajectory we're on currently, and then we'll decide, are we going higher or are we coming lower. So coming into the developing time frame, get to the current day here. We're going to dump some VWAPs on the chart. You're going to see that I have added a few things differently. If you hang out often, all right, so again, purple is going to be blue. That'll be the 1 day back when we fire up uh, RTH tomorrow, or actually ETH tonight. Uh, Blue will become red, and then red will become red will become orange. So 1 day back is going to become 2 days back, 2 days back is going to become 3 days back, and so on right down the chain. I'm actually going to turn these off, and I'm going to drop one more. Um, okay, so we're currently uh, sitting at yesterday's developing VWAP. We're on a trajectory south off of that. The potential is, of course, to find buyers at this level here, And if we find buyers at this level, it would suggest a retest of the upper edge. And I'll drop some VWAPs, some rolling VWAPs on to show that edge. But before we clutter the chart up, we'll just talk about it. If we lose developing, it brings us back to the 0-day back where we had buyers uh, not think of buyers as a lack of sellers or a lack of sellers as buyers. Um, so we didn't have selling that took it down below, which is the same as having buyers, and that went up to go on and print a new all-time high. And so here we are back to check the developing session VWAP from yesterday in the price ladder, 0-day back below, or DUE developing upper edge above. I'm going to turn on some rolling VWAPs here. And we're just going to get enough to get us to I overshot it. We want to get enough to get to the intermediate time frame, which is right here. So we can see that intermediate edge at the 0-day back, which is going to become the 1-day back. And I say that because it's really easy to forget where you are. Uh, so I want to just continue to remind you and myself that those VWAPs will change color. The volume will still be there, but the VWAPs will change color. Okay, so currently on a trajectory down, we lost that upper balance at this rope here, and now we're on a trajectory to return to the previous full session VWAP. If we come into the full session VWAP, it sets up a scenario where we would start clicking prices lower. See if we can get these all above. Okay, so real bullishness is anything above the 0-day back is a buy for a retest of the upper edge. So if we find strength off of this level, that would be a buy, suggesting that we would return to this upper edge. We bought it Friday, and the potential is to come back, buy it again, and return to that edge. In that theory, if we were to buy this edge, we have yesterday's developing, Friday's developing as an obstruction. We have a return to that upper balance as an obstruction, and then the outer edge. It's important to note that the predominance of participants in this market are buyers. Um, and so getting above this level, you are aligned with the buyers to take on this level. The squeeze to new highs begins at this edge here if we have new buyers above that edge. So looking for the ETH to see what happens with it. If it continues selling down to here, long liquidation of yesterday's full session participants begins here. Long liquidation of yesterday's developing session participants begins here. So the price ladder then narration is if buyers, then balance. If buyers, then upper edge. If sellers, back to developing. If sellers, back to zero. 0-day back has the potential to take it to developing or range X further down. If we lose the lower edge, the long liquidation begins here, excuse me, on the full session participants from yesterday, and I would look to target the rope here around 88.42. If we lose that, continuation down to the 1-day back VWAP, which is just below. Just getting these things back on the top. They got buried underneath. below below the 1-day back VWAP, new selling would be, oh, I'm sorry, this is the 1-day. This is actually the 2-day. Below the 2-day, we'll put the 3-day on the deck. And that's the price ladder to the downside. Counter trend, low expectations, and a, a, a tempered pullback. If we get below the 1-day back here, and I'm speaking from RTH perspective tomorrow, if we get below the 1-day back here, I would look to target the 2-day back with this as an obstruction. If we get below the 2-day back, then I would look to take it all the way to the 3 and even look to continue it further if the selling continued. There could be some profit taking. There's certainly some concerns about the financial infrastructure, and the potential is always to see a pullback before we go higher. So I'm keeping that in mind. I'm keeping an open mind about higher prices and lower prices in the developing day. I'm going to add a few more VWAPs here, so see if we can get some ropes identified. So we have a tight band of VWAPs here. It looks like RTH2 is below RTH1, so there must have been some selling 2 days or on Thursday that dragged things down. Not really sure what's going on there, but I would look for price checks. And this is looking way out, so maybe the cart before the horse, but if we lose this, I would target this. If we lose this, I would target that. If we lose this, I would target that. And if we lose this, I would look here. These are all buy opportunities. Because of context, so I would be looking for strength off of any one of these levels for continuation higher. Once we get below here, the potential is to start liquidating longs out and looking for buyers. So I would, current trajectory is down from the highs, looking for buyers. My next trade is a long back to this upper edge from one of these levels below, and then I will look to see what happens at that upper edge and potentially create a short scenario. I'll look for this edge and this edge to merge together as they did here, and then look for a retest of that edge for a short continuation. Outside of that, I'm looking for an opportunity to buy first here. Well, maybe even first here, but we'll see. Then here, and then here. And the target is always going to be that upper edge, and the fatties in between here and there are going to be the obstructions and the things that I look to scale in front of. So that's the trade plan for the coming into the ETH. Um, I'm not sure if I would take a a short out of the gate. We'll just let the market do its thing. I may or may not participate, but that will be what I am watching. So thanks for stopping in, and hopefully we get some good price action this week. And of course, we'll be back on the live stream in the morning. So until then, take care, trade well, and we'll see you on the next one.